Hello, welcome. Right, so this is then going to end up being a senior league match video, I believe, because in the end, we ummed and ahed. And we have decided to buy this player. I think this just... Let's find him up again. Yeah, we just decided to proceed and get him. I think in the end, the thing that really pushed us over the edge is actually the aerial ability. Pretty much because of that's just pushed us over the edge. We were very umming and ahhing about exactly how we would fit into the role for effectively our up and back midfielder, not the out and out attacking one. Basically, a fill-in is the attacking one. Yeah. So we will buy him, but we can't buy him because we don't have the money. So we have to play the matches to get the cash injection to be able to buy him. But basically, the plan is to buy this guy and then take this training option, get the MR position. He will lose 2 speed, by the way. This is the thing. So the speed is very high, but we need to know that it's going to be less in 4 days, and it's going to be basically less every season. But you know, hopefully it'll still be well into the 80s in a couple seasons' time. Anyway, so the plan is to basically add the pick up this MR position, and then to change our tactics so that the attacking winger is instead on the left and the regular winger is on the right. The guy that we buy to be the up and back winger because he's got the higher tackling and stuff. The guy we buy, and then this guy Raphael, he will move over to the left. So we're going to have to use our add position to add ML basically, and then once we have that, we will then have this guy can play right or left. Whatever side he's on would be the attacking side. And the other side, which is typically going to be the left, the other side will be the right, will be the guy we'll buy. If the guy, that we'll buy gets injured, we'll then flip it around because he'll be MLR, so he can go back over to the right, and then the guy we're playing on the left can come in. And if our attacking winger gets injured, then the one we buy will become the attacking winger on the right, and this guy will come back into the left. So basically, our starting ones will be this Raphael, and the one we buy. This guy will become the bench guy, and yeah, we can then get it all sorted out. Basically, with it requires quite a bit of inverting back and forth, but it's not too bad. So right, so we just got to play the matches now, and now we just got to talk about our tactic. Right, at the moment, Harburg is injured for 1 match, so it's a big downgrade here, and our backup striker is out as well. We tried this out. It's just kind of... I think when it doesn't work, it really won't work, because these guys are... I think there is a general rule that have said... kind of like, it's kind of general, but it's also kind of absolute as well, that the rule is basically if you have 2 MCs, you almost never want them to have the same role as each other. Now, I suppose almost never, means, well, is the rule almost never, is it never, any exceptions? Not sure, but and again, I don't know if it's suboptimal doing this, but we could play friendlies to try and learn over time. But we have played a couple. It kind of worked okay. I think part of the reason why... I think the rule was probably... I think if there's an exception to the rule, it's when they're both box-to-box midfielders, crazy as this sounds. Because the issue with them having the same role is that they're constantly occupying the same space. But when they're box-to-box, they're moving up and back a lot. They both are. And because they're naturally moving up and back so much, they're naturally ending up out of horizontal alignment quite a bit, just naturally, because one of them will drag to run up to the ball, one of them will be dragged to try to defend some space, one of them is faster than the other one. The one who's faster when you're attacking will get up further, and then when you lose the ball, we'll have further distance to travel back. And so, basically, because they're moving up and back so much, and because there are so many things, like this guy, for example, has another guy in front of him descending the space, this guy might have to backtrack more to make the tackle. There's a lot to naturally offset them. So whilst it is inherently bad that they arguably that they have the same role for other reasons, but for the specific reason of constantly occupying the same space, it's not too bad. They are quite offset. At least, approximately it seems on average in the ballpark of what any other role would have, basically, for the offset, just about, if it was central midfield or whatever. So, the issues with this mostly are just, there could be issues, there could be benefits, so this is the question. So when you're defending for long enough, both of them will be back, which means you won't have anybody in the middle. And then when you're attacking, the only real outlets are an ultra long ball down the middle or wide. So the question is, are we okay with those options? And the answer is yeah, basically, absolutely. At least with the level we're at. So it's not too bad. And when we're all up, then the other issue becomes we have all of this space for them to attack into. But that's not bad, to be honest, to invite them through the middle where you have 4 defenders, as opposed to inviting them down the flanks. Basically, encouraging more attacks through the middle isn't inherently a bad thing here either. So I think it is just a case of there's lots of reasons why this might not work particularly well in certain matchups, but in other matchups it kind of just will work really well. So I think if we do run with this, we just need to pay close attention and maybe move out of it very quickly. An obvious thing to move out of it is just to change one of them to central, by the way. The problem with that, though, it seems like it's very similar, very equivalent, but it just isn't. That's the thing, because we have one less body going forwards when we attack. And to have an overload, so basically, if we don't have him going forwards, then we're only going to end up with these 2 and 3 others. So we'll end up with 5, and most teams are typically defending with around 5, one with configuration or another. The most standard one is for flat back 4 and a DMC. So we basically just... But if, they have 5, we have 5. But if we get the 6th guy, this guy, then we have 1 extra player. And if they're only playing the flat back 4, then we get 2 extra players. So basically, it just allows it for when we have a slower attack passing around, that we can manufacture chances the more bodies we have forwards. And then same thing coming back, like, we want this guy to backtrack all the way into this area. If we hold him up in here, we want this guy to backtrack. So it seems very similar in theory, but in practice, it's very different. We're getting an extra body forward to help with the attack. We're getting an extra player back to help with the defending close to the box. But we're losing a player in midfield for the transition. But we're okay with losing that. So we're losing the player in the midfield, both in terms of our attacking to defending transitions and from our defending to attacking transitions. And the reason why we're okay with losing the midfield in the defending to attacking transitions is because we are okay to not move the ball through the middle. We are okay to just go wide or go long. It's arguably optimal for us, basically. And the reason we're okay to not have a midfield presence when we lose the ball whilst attacking and just let them walk straight through the middle is because we have 4 defenders here in the middle. Inviting them through the middle to have to take this head on is arguably not worse than covering the middle and inviting them to go down the flanks where we don't have players. So it's opposition dependent. It's situational as to which one is better here. But sometimes it is going to be better just to invite them through the middle. So basically, by sacrificing the midfield proper, it's not a bad thing in some matches. And the thing is, you haven't sacrificed it entirely anyway, because sometimes, the transitions will not be full. Like, we'll start attacking and we'll lose the ball during the attack, and they won't have made it all the way up, and they'll be somewhere around the middle. So you haven't given it up completely. You've just given it up completely in certain situations. So, i.e., when you've got a very well built up attack, or when the other team's basically got a very well built up attack. So yeah. Then for the team instructions for this, they're basically just all in the middle, except we're backing off. And again, the main reason we're backing off is just because we don't really have the condition to last the match out, and we don't really have that strong of substitutes. At some point, we're getting close to the point where we can change that, which will probably just change it to balanced. We might even just about be there after we get this next player, actually. When we buy one more player, we'll probably just about be there when we have that player, and when we sort of don't really have any players injured or you know, largely not players injured. Maybe one or two if they're not the wrong one or two. So we're getting close to that point. I think it'll help a little bit. The other reason why, the other thing that could have happened, or maybe could happen next season, let's say, that would immediately help with being able to get that closing down slider to not balanced, is when we pick our manager skills next season to just get the conditioning skill. Ideally, all 3 levels would probably get us there, but yeah, I don't know if that'll make sense for us to get or not, because you know, a lot of skills will make sense. That's just, you know. So anyway, we're going to move into the league match. Let's play. Hooligans. So we've drawn against them once. Man, we beat them once. Very similar, actually. Was it 10 and 3 and 10 and 3? I don't know. 10 shots to 3 shots. And 10 shots to 2 shots. It's very similar. We'll see, because we are playing a... Definitely didn't play this formation. The first time we were playing our regular version of the formation, just about. And the second... Yeah, okay, so... Okay, so both times we were playing... our sort of main version with the offset support striker that we played quite a lot of matches with. I guess you could say our main tactic so far. Should have maybe talked about, there were some specifics in the construction of this tactic. If I remember, I'll talk about them. But now's not the time, because now's the time to pay attention to the match. Not a lot, just a couple of points, just a couple of tips to take away. One in particular, really. One main one. So we kind of held them up long enough then for the box-to-box midfielders to get back, or at least one of them got back. Okay, so we're getting the ball wide, we're getting those crosses, they're not really leading to anything. That's not what you want to see. We wanted to cut back. I'm not entirely happy. It's a bit interesting because we have had those couple crosses, and if neither of them were intercepted, then probably would be much happier. But they both were. It feels like we're being very stifled. I'm just going to change this guy to... Yeah, wrong roll. Poacher. So one point in particular is there are 2 box-to-box midfielders, but the reason why they're this configuration is because this guy has high tackling. So this guy doesn't need to get back to tackle as much because the destroyer is offset to this side. So when we position these, we position them with the higher tackling to come through down here. So it kind of feels like we're not really having the shots, but they're still kind of like... I think you could treat these 3 crosses in the box as kind of like... almost like 3 semi-decent long-range shots might be the way to think about it. Would we be as disappointed if that had happened? As in we had 3 long-range shots? More than we've had? I'm not... I think we would still be pretty disappointed. Just gonna pause. We got load of time, and yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know. That's what I mean. If we had 3 more shots like that, would we be happy? Don't know. Don't think so. I think we're not happy with this. I think I'm gonna change that back to striker. I think we just want to try and take the game to them a bit more. Just try and hoof it forwards and just see. It's just, you know, it's near half time, so we'll naturally get another pause to change whatever back. So it's just a little test just to see, because it feels like there is a bit of space in back here for our players to run into like this. And already that's probably, like I said, those crosses, do count for something. But in regards to getting an actual shot off, that was probably our most dangerous shot of the game. So. And again, we didn't actually get the shot, but that was pretty dangerous as well. Uh-oh, this is not good. Okay, lucky. So I feel like, yeah, we're leaving it pretty much. We will think on it a bit, but we saw enough in those few minutes to have seen basically more in those few minutes than what we saw in the rest of the first half put together. Just about. That's probably not literally true, but it's not a long way off. I'm going to just change him to attacking just to make sure that we got 1 extra body forward when the attacks come. We might just need to pay attention to how much we lose defensively, but we're kind of expecting the box-to-box midfielders will generally be less useful because we are hoofing the ball up a bit and giving up possession quickly. So we're kind of expecting them to just be trying to run around playing catch-up. So this is why I said it was dangerous, because last time, because of that, you know, if they miss the tackle, then it's like a really good chance. Unfortunately, we didn't score. That was a very, very good chance. In a match that doesn't have a lot of chances, basically. We might score, but I doubt we're going to get a chance better than that one, pretty much. Was that a better chance? I'm not sure. But, I'm just going to pause quickly. So I think this guy, for example, he's got 78 aerial ability, so he's the threat on set pieces. And he scored off it. I don't know. To be honest, for now, I'm just going to leave it, and I'm just going to keep paying close attention because I haven't, from what I've seen, it's just looked like we've become a greater threat since we made this change. I haven't seen anything too much to be scary of from them attacking. We'll persevere a bit, because I do feel like I don't know. I feel like that's a classic situation where I kind of feel like there's way more chance we're going to get a second goal here than they're going to score. And there's long enough left in the match where need to factor that type of stuff in. It's quite a way still to just sit back and hold a lead. You know, I think we will just persevere with this at least until soon, when we, because we've got subs coming up. So when they come up is the natural time to maybe think about changing things, because ultimately they're going to be changing anyway, because the personnel change is going to be significant. We won't really be able to play this type of football anymore once we make the subs. And it's pretty close to time to doing it, to be honest. So, right, we've got a whole bunch of subs to make, probably 3 on this one change. So we're going to lose both our attacking players and possibly the somebody else, but let's focus on. So if we lose a striker, it's got to be him in, but I think a Krieg will come in here, and I think he's going to be attacking. He's going to be box to box, and we don't want to go fast anymore. And we've got a minute left. So the question is, well, we don't have another central midfielder, and we don't have a left midfielder. So for now, we'll resume and we'll think, because we've got a minute. We're just going to think a bit. So one option is that we can bring on the left back. So we've got to retain a left-sided player. Once we do that, if we concede, it's not good. It's probably a draw. So we could definitely have done with this second goal. We may get it here, and then that makes our life easy. Okay, we do. So I think that makes our life pretty easy. We will just now sub on the left back. He's just going to come back here. I think in regards to helping, we can just make him a wing back. Just help retain the possession a bit, not sacrifice it so quickly. So I feel like in particular, because only 2 goals, not 1, the reason why it's a good thing to get that player forwards, arguably, I could be wrong here, but the thinking is that we will be able to retain possession better, and if we can just retain possession a little bit, it doesn't take hardly anything, it just takes a little bit, will mean that they're just not going to score 2 goals. Maybe they score 1, but they're not going to score 2. Okay, got a knock. That's unfortunate. Got a bit of cover there. It's not particularly deep. Alright, well, we made our subs. And fairly confident we're going to win. And one change we could have made at some point in the running there was to change the backing off to normal, but I don't think that was a good idea because we had, like, for example, this guy finished on 80% condition. If we had done that, he would have been below. And the other guys, we had a few just below. They would have got just below sooner. So it is something we thought about. We didn't say it, but that's why we didn't do it. Again, it's a condition issue that we were talking about before we started the match. But hopefully that's something that with that manager skill that would just get us there to be able to do that a bit more. Right, so now we got an injury. A hand is forced to some degree. We also get somebody back at DMC. No. So he probably just ends up for a Krieg, and then I guess this guy ends up on the bench. Yeah, I really didn't. Oh, it's weird because I played the friendlies and that tactic sort of worked, but it kind of felt like it shouldn't really, and then it didn't really that match. I don't know whether even bother persevering with it for one more match. Maybe I will, because it did work in the friendlies. And the thing is, I think we just need to be a little bit snappier to move out of it if it's not working. Last time we did hold on. What did we wait till the 37th minute? Something like that. It was a bit long. Alright, so we played them once. We did win. We had loads of shots. But they also had 7. Okay. So he's not as isolated as we want him to be. He had 2 options to pass into there. Which isn't surprising because he's got box-to-box midfielder running there, so he will come up if he's sort of starts in around the right spot, let's say. You just have to pay attention if that's an ongoing issue, if that's the general norm, or if it's generally more normal that he's isolated. Okay, that defender is pretty fast. I think that was versus our striker, who's our fastest player. Looks like he does need to get the step on him to have a chance to score, so hopefully... that was not our striker, that was our creative forward. Not as bad as the last game. We are creating a bit. Yeah, okay, there we go. Alright. So I'm alright to just leave it at this point because same old sort of reasoning, like we're not creating a lot, like we are creating a bit and they're creating nothing, and then from that point, like as long as we're not winning and we're not creating a lot and you're thinking, we probably will score, but it's totally possible we might not. Those type of games, like, it's just totally different when you're winning, because you don't, scoring the second goal is kind of just like insurance or like a bonus or whatever. It's not something you have to do to win. You just have to not concede. So these are like the easiest games to play out, really, because even though we may not win, like, as long as it's true that we're just having a flow of chances, there's a very good chance we just get the second goal like we did. And from here, there's just a very good chance we're going to get the third goal. And yeah, like, they may have a shot on score at some point or whatever. But over the course of the rest of the match, we probably just win if we just leave it. Now, having said that, there will be moments, like, for example, when the striker falls below 80% condition in the second half, and all of a sudden our hand is forced. Like, there could be something that happens that forces your hand, like, i.e., like, it isn't, you can leave it the same, but it's not really playing the same, because a player, whatever, has low condition or something, rather, or something to do with their team. But, because if they were, an online player, and they could change their tactics, and, you need to bear that in mind. Once that happens, the whole idea that, this whole idea that just, their team is doing whatever and therefore they're going to continue to do whatever, that's just not true anymore. So they are more challenging when you're playing against other humans, and it'll be interesting to cover that. Like, in particular, other humans, I guess, who are actually make tactical changes during the match, because if they're not making any tactical changes, then for the purposes of this exercise, it's basically no different to play anybody else. Or, to playing, bots or whatever, because, if all they're doing is the odd sub or whatever, and that's it, then bots do that anyway. Well, they didn't even manage a very speculative long-range shot there. I thought they were going to take that at least. So it won't be too deep into this half, and we're going to have to... or we will sub off our striker. There is a real issue with this tactic that we can check on the stats after, but I think there is a real issue that it's can argue what it does get out of the striker exactly, but I think you're not going to argue that it doesn't get the most out of him. It's just how suboptimal the whole thing is for the striker. So we've got to... Yeah, it just feels like he's hardly involved. I don't mean about anything specific here, I mean everything generally. He's hardly involved in build-up. He's hardly involved in just even running onto balls put through to him. He's less involved in shooting, just everything, headers, whatever. Just it feels like he's just less everything with that playmaker sitting right in front of him, like being like a black hole, absorbing up all the space around him. Right, this is going to be the most dangerous thing of the game to defend, and we defended it. this will be our new best chance. Okay, please score. Very close to the time for subs. Yeah, it's not good. They could score here. Okay, lucky. Really well worked. Yeah, so Striker doesn't do a lot, but it still doesn't mean he never scores. Just doesn't do a lot. Okay, I think we're just going to make our third sub because I think the game is over. So we just want to prevent a player from being injured. I suppose that player is Dokken. Yeah, I don't know. What is that, 9 minutes? They got a lot of fouls this game. Well, a lot of cards. This is an important difference to notice between these. So this guy got a warning. Then a yellow. I think the code only shows the most recent warning, I think. Well, anyway, it shows the order. So basically this guy got a warning and then a yellow. Whereas this guy to go to yellow then a warning. So this guy, for example, as soon as he makes anything slightly dodgy or whatever, he's just going to get sent off. So it's definitely a cue to sub players off, especially those that are attempting a lot of tackles and failing. Fouling. So, right, cool. So we did win both of them. I think they were both. Second one was convincing. First one was. I don't know how convincing that was. Felt alright, but it definitely felt like we had to make some tactical changes to get through that one. Alright, awesome. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you for the last couple of matches of this league period coming up next.